Okay, so when you think about success, what's the first thing that pops into your head? Is it maybe the shiny car, the big pronouncements, the stuff you'd want bragging rights for? Well, today we're going to really challenge that idea. We're diving deep. Our source is Chapter 6 from this really compelling personal account. It's called Learned from My Mistake. And our mission really is to unpack this idea of finding a new kind of success, one that might be, well, way more valuable, more solid maybe than those traditional ways we measure it. We'll explore how maybe mistakes aren't just dead ends, how they can actually give you a new compass for life. So thinking about that right now, how do you currently define success? And maybe more importantly, are you open to a different perspective?
Yeah, what's genuinely fascinating, I think, is how this source material just immediately shifts the goalposts on what winning looks like. It flips our usual ideas completely upside down and talks about quiet, deliberate work and how that compounds, not into some big flashy win, but into profound stability and peace.
Right. It's almost a paradox, isn't it?
Exactly. We usually think success means making a big splash, but this account really emphasizes the gentle, steady ripple effect.
It totally reframes it. The author talks about the first sign of this new success as something super practical, like being able to handle a surprise expense, a car repair, a medical thing, without that awful sinking feeling of panic.
Yeah, that gut-wrenching fear.
Yeah, it's not about having tons of extra cash necessarily, but just the absence of that fear. The source says before a bill like that meant days of anxiety, maybe borrowing money. Now it's this quiet confidence, like preparedness won over just impulse.
That's so telling because, if you connect that to the bigger picture, it suggests true financial security isn't just the number in your bank account. It's the feeling of control, the lack of fear it brings. And at work, too, the source gets specific. After a previous sort of career mistake chasing a big, flashy project that didn't last, the author deliberately chose this path of consistent, careful work on a less glamorous but really vital internal system.
Okay, so not the Spotlight Project.
Not at all. But the reliability, the deep understanding they showed over 18 months that built this incredible trust with the team. And that led not just to a promotion, but, colleagues actually seeking out their advice, valuing that calm, steady approach over any kind of grandstanding.
It sounds really compelling, this shift away from needing everyone else's approval to just finding internal peace. But, for someone who's maybe been wired for those big achievements, those bragging rights, what does the source say about how hard that shift is? Was it just like flipping a switch, or was it a real struggle to let go of those old desires?
Oh, that's a really crucial point. And no, the account is very clear. It wasn't instant at all. It describes these moments of intense doubt, missing the old bragging rights.
Yeah.
The turning point seemed to come when the absence of fear, that quiet feeling that a setback wouldn't totally wreck things, when that feeling started to consistently feel better than the quick thrill of public praise. The author talks about having to actively, unlearn chasing external validation, understanding the real reward was in the work itself, its integrity, not just the applause it might get.
Right. Okay. And here's where it gets really interesting for me. This new success, it wasn't just about money or the job title. The biggest measure, it seems, was how it changed their personal life. Friendships apparently got deeper because the author was just present, reliable, not chasing the next big thing. And relationships with parents, it says, really grew into a partnership, moving from being seen as this naive boy needing approval to being a man who'd faced failure, learned, and came out genuinely stronger, ready to contribute.
And that brings up such an important question, doesn't it, for all of us? The source describes this simple but profound realization. Success wasn't about the destination, but about the journey. It wasn't the size of the bank account, but the, quote, quality of my life. That changes everything.
Yeah, it completely reorients your values.
The wealth being described isn't dollars. It's the absence of fear, the depth of my relationships, and the quiet contentment I felt each day. It's like building an internal GPS, pointing towards meaning, not just milestones.
So what's the big takeaway here? It seems like those past mistakes, even though they cost dearly, as the source puts it, they actually served a really powerful purpose in the end. They didn't just teach what not to do. They fundamentally rewired the author's internal navigation, that old compass, pointing to external praise. It was broken. The mistake itself, in a way, provided the raw materials, the humility, the rethinking of priorities to build a whole new, more reliable inner guide. Not just a mental tweak, but a total recalibration towards, well, meaning and peace, not quick wins. So we've really explored a pretty fundamental shift today, haven't we? Moving away from chasing external validation, those traditional markers, towards something internal peace, a richer quality of life, recognizing a very personal kind of victory.
Absolutely. And the thread running through it all is how those past mistakes, they weren't just bumps in the road. They were actually powerful teachers. They offered that new compass. So maybe the final thought for you listening is this. Based on what we've talked about, what would your personal recalibrated compass point towards now? How might you start measuring your own wealth, maybe not just in dollars, but in that absence of fear? In the depth of your connections, that quiet contentment day to day is worth reflecting, I think, on the journey itself, that quiet, deliberate work, and maybe not focus quite so much on just the destination.